Hi, welcome to my retirement roadmap. This is the third in a series of videos about investing in fitness. And in this section, we're going to talk about healthy weight and nutrition. And so I think it's important to understand that weight really is seems like a super important part of our health. And if we keep a healthy weight, that can definitely make a big difference in our longevity and our quality of life and whatnot. Now, I am not at all a medical doctor. I don't have any training or any of this. So I can't say I'm qualified to talk about this, but I have done a lot of research. I've lived, several years, and I've seen a lot of this. So that's why I'm sharing it. And again, this is really meant to hopefully provide some help for people as they work through their investing in their fitness type thing. So I personally am what I call a yo-yo dieter. So I go up and down. I'm usually it's like between 7 and 10 pounds is where my weight goes, and I'm very good at losing weight. I know exactly how to do it. I've got all sorts of tools to do that, and then the hardest part, as we all know, is really maintaining weight. I think that's far harder than actually losing weight. So I just wanted to share a couple things that I do with that. Is I have some, and this works for me because I have a very obsessive personality. Let's say I am now. I've been using for years. I've been using apps, phone apps, to do that. Uh, for example, I use an app called Lose It. I have for years. There are different ones that are out there, but if you want to try something like that, there are a lot out there, different options, different types for different people type of thing. But I have found that tracking calories more than anything else for me keeps me focused and knowing what I'm eating. In fact, this last round of weight loss that I did, I'm like, I just think I'm going to have to track calories for the rest of my life. That's just the way it's going to be. And I have a couple things that I do with that. First of all, I have the Lose It app that I'm telling you about. And then I have this program I've been in for years too. It's called Diet Bet. And it's pretty good because it's about money, and I'm super motivated by money. I suppose if people know me, they say, "Oh yeah, that's definitely Ty." But anyway, this diet bet where you can join a game and you weigh in, and then you have to lose your weight or maintain your weight, and if you win, you get some money. It's not a lot of money, trust me, at all. But it's all about winning and not losing money for me, and I think that helps. So I know there are other things out there, but I just wanted to give a plug for Diet Bet if somebody's looking for something similar that could help them on that. And then Diet Bet, I believe, is part of another company called Way Better, and that app there, this right here is what's super helpful to me. It's because Way Better has different games out there that you can participate in, and you pay money, and if you meet your objectives, your goals, you get at least back what your investment was, and some a little bit better. So this one I found out, I don't know how long they've had it. I just found this out a few months ago, where you can submit a screenshot of your tracked calories. And this particular game runs for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, each week you have to submit your screenshot of your calories at least 5 days in a week. And I bet the max, which is $50, or I pay the max $50, so I will get at least $50 back. If I miss it, I lose all $50. So I'm not going to do that. That's what motivates me. Okay, and then let's talk about this from a financial perspective, from an investment perspective. If you win, like I said, you get at least $50 back. And I think one game I got over $51, for example. But let's just say I get $1 back every 2 weeks. So that's $26 I've made in a year. If I keep this up for a year, that's $26. Now you divide that by my investment of $50. That's a really amazing return on investment. So there you go. that's a good investment, right? My point here in talking about this is if you can find ways to, really work on your weight, I think that it really will pay off in the end. It's super important. I mean, I do know there's these new drugs that are on the market and stuff too, and sometimes that's what it takes for people, and if it does, that works. Um, but for me, I've found these other things, and I just wanted to share that as well. Just to share with people. But again, calorie tracking, these diet bet way better. That's what's really helped me. I do like to do frequent weigh-ins. I've got one of those scales that records and shows, it talks to my phone, and I'm an Apple person, so I've got the health app that keeps track of all that stuff. I try not to get too crazy, but I do. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to share about weight. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about nutrition, because I think nutrition is also, I mean, we can keep a healthy weight, but if we're not eating right, that's not necessarily good either. I will share this very quickly. This is not super common, I found, but I'm coming up. Well, Jeff and we're coming up on almost 20 years of being vegan, just eating plant-based diet. I'll tell you a quick story on that is I, it's been, well, obviously a little over 20 years ago, I did went to the doctor and did the annual visit, and the blood work came back and the doctor says, hey, listen, your triglycerides are high. You need to go on this medication. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to take medicine if I don't have to. Is there anything else to do? And he goes, well, this medication will work. So I went on the medication and it worked, of course. Then maybe a year later, let's say it was a year later, that my company that I worked for is like, hey, listen, we've got this new high deductible health plan, and this is going to be, the best thing there is. So I was very encouraged about this. I thought, this is great. I'm a healthy person, and it's going to cost me a lot less money for my health insurance. And then my coworker said, hey, dude, you're on this medication, aren't you? Now, this back then, it was like, we did the math and it was going to be like $1,000 a month. And that was all going to go to my deductible because I didn't need it for anything else typically. So I was like, whoa. So I went back to the doctor and I said, doctor, I've heard that I can take care of my triglycerides by modifying my diet. And so he goes, well, you can try being vegan. So I think, let's say it was like 6 weeks later, I come back in, get my blood work done. And he goes, okay, you're fine. I just didn't think you could do it. so, so anyway, that's how it all started. And we've been doing that for 20 years. I have yet, I'd love to say like talked to somebody else into becoming vegan for life, but hasn't happened, and that's okay. It's definitely okay. But I did want to share that that's one way. We're kind of in that healthy nutrition part there that is good for us as long as we eat healthy. Now, over the years, there are a lot more vegan options. I'm sure you see a lot of those at the store, and some of those are not necessarily nutritious. Okay, so one has to beware, but it does work well for me. I just wanted to share that. And if you are interested in this, okay, the plant-based diet. The book that really sealed the deal for me too is called The China Study. So it's a great book. And I do want to say that I don't know what it is, but I'm really obsessed with this health and nutrition. I have been. And it was funny as I was preparing for this class, my brain, wakes me up in the middle of the night and says, hey, listen, do you remember you did this several years ago? So yeah, I did. 18 years ago, I was at what is now AT&T. I was working for the company, and I wanted to do a health and nutrition class, and I put one on. And it's funny because I've got all the documents there. And we're talking 2008. This is in 2008. So we obviously have different digital tools and things that were available back then, but kind of interesting. I dragged that out, and here I am again. And now we're doing YouTube videos. So it's pretty fun. Anyway, The other thing, as far as health at nutrition too, I think the a good thing to talk about really are the organic whole foods. I think that's kind of like everybody understands that's kind of like the way to go, and it's unprocessed. I also think water is probably a little underrated in what we do. We do need to drink a lot of good water. To I guess that's part of that whole thing we talked in a previous video about the river flowing. Right, water definitely goes through us, and I think can help us great. I need to do a little bit better on that than I have in the past, but I've gotten a little undisciplined on that lately. The other thing in our class that one person shared that about his grandfather and in Europe, okay, and how his grandfather was like lived to be 100 or close there or whatever. He was talking about he lived on fish and salads and no fried foods. That was one of his secrets for longevity. So I thought that was very interesting. So definitely something that might be something to consider. Anyway, I think I've said enough for now on the healthy weight and nutrition, and we will have one more video after this. Thanks, and see you on the next one.